Here I come, Yin-Yarn. I'm about to able to annihilate you once and for all, and hopefully my home should be restored during time. Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more, yet again, by the forms of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of the forms of Kirby's Epic Yarn for the Nintendo Wii / Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn for the Nintendo 3DS. Because I'll discuss more to that as soon as we're able to actually just go through the secret levels after this. So, yeah, last time we actually did manage to completely done with the forms of the first halfway portion of the forms of Dreamland. So if we're able to actually press the A button for just a moment ago. So that way we did manage to tackle through Wispy's Forest, Tempest Towers, Cloud Palace, and Castle DDD. So, yeah, today for this episode is the fact that we're going to be going on to the final boss in the entire game, and that is the forms of Yin-Yarn. See, Fernando, hopefully we should be able to finish him off once and for all, as I mentioned this before, and hopefully that Dreamland should be restored in during time. But even then though, we'll never know until whenever when we decide to able to jump in. See, Fernando, yeah, let's get this thing started, shall we? And I did not notice that you can actually hop onto those cloud platforms throughout, which I honestly did not know that. But anyways, enough about that sightseeing, so let's just get into the forms of the true final boss in Kirby's Epic Yarn, and that is Yin-Yarn. This might be the easiest boss fight in my opinion though. Unlike the forms of Meta Knight, I always found him to be quite tough sometimes. But honestly, it's not that much of a challenge in my honest opinion. But even then, first of all, we need to able to actually face off against with Fangoro again. Okay. This might be the second time trying to deal with him, so he managed to able to revive thanks to the forms of Yin-Yarn's magic spell. So, obviously, you know how the fact that he forms of how the fact that unlike in previous Kirby entries, but he forms of since Kirby's Dreamland and stuff like that, you have to refight against with those boss fights again. In Kirby's Epic Yarn this time around though is the fact that you only have like 2 boss rematches. Even then though, I say 2 boss rematches before we get into Yin-Yarn himself. That's only because of how the fact that in this first phase, all you do is basically we need to dish out as many of those hit damages on the forms of Fangora. And that's pretty much it, obviously. And you can actually see the help Battleship Halberd on the background. So yeah, that's very cool detail as far as that's a result of that too. And after when you move on to the next phase is the fact that you need to able to actually escape for this particular section right there. Don't worry, it's endless. It's nothing like a time limit syndrome, obviously. So you have to like escape from this little alcove hole, and then once you're done with that, then you can able to move on to the next phase. So speaking of such, the next phase he's going to be doing is the fact that he's trying to create the water. And basically what happens is the fact that we need to able to have a rematch against with Capamori from Ever Since in Waterland. So yeah, because there are only 2 boss rematches in the forms of this particular final boss itself, so yeah, I kinda wish there's more to it than that. But other than that though, very simple, self-explanatory right there. But once you deal with Capamori, then we can able to actually just move on to the forms of the third and the final phase of this fight. But of course, much like how it does it from the first part of this this section here, although the noticeable difference is this time around though is the fact that it just makes it a little bit more trickier to able to actually just get to that point right there. I think the easiest way to do this though is the fact that you can actually able to do this this part in particular. Oh no. Okay, good. Thankfully though, you can actually grab those beads during time, so you can then there we go then. So this what makes the third phase can get pretty tricky sometimes, especially noticeable how the fact that, well, the first part is very simple, but not until when we get to the second part of this phase. Because as you can see, he's now created his bottomless pit, and as a result we need to avoid those little enemies right there. Although, if you manage to leave them for quite a long time, then basically he'll start to flash red. Basically he'll act out as like an explosion effect. And after every once in a while he'll send out the forms of that chili enemy, and basically we can able to actually just directly try to home in onto him, or in this case try to hit him, until you're able to deal some damage of Yin-Yarn. But here's the thing though, is the fact that we need to avoid the larger versions of the Waddle Dees, because if you get knocked by those Waddle Dees there, then you would expect that you would able to actually get shoved over to the bottomless pit below. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Yin-Yarn. obviously. So even then though, we are done with the forms of Kirby's Epic Yarn. So, I can't believe we're actually completing for this so easily. In fact, this might actually be the easiest final boss of the game? Oh, wait a minute. It's not over yet. And as for Sonic's quilt, I guess it's not going to be that easy. Well, to be fair, I think I can get rid of this guy so easily, so... Now, and then every once in a while, he managed to able to transform into himself his true form, and how are we supposed to deal with him? Well, just like in the forms of Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, because Meta Knight actually gives us the forms of the tank form that we can able to use. So, yeah, that's kind of odd there, but hey, it always reminds me of Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, except the fact that it's on the Yarn world, so that's how it is. So basically in this boss fight, you just simply have to shoot down the one button this whole time, because even then, assuming if you're able to actually just try to dodge his missiles as much as you can, and again I do apologize for that, because obviously that in order to actually deal with this particular final boss, the true final boss of this game, and this guy was actually known as the Mega Yin-Yarn because of you know, the way how he looks, and it's very simple. It's self-explanatory though, in my opinion, other than as long as you're able to actually dodge a lot of missiles as possible, and especially noticeable, you can able to actually just carefully time your steps and whatnot, and you should able to be good to go. And also as a result, you can get a lot of beats on this particular boss fight, even a lot more than the likes of how it does in any other levels. So let's go and grab the rest of the remaining ones. Sorry, a little bit of a tendency right there. So we've got 6,446 beats. That's quite a lot. So anyways, let's finish him off once and for all with these two little duos of sticks. And boom, there he goes. I kind of wish he wasn't able to actually to let those two duo evil sticks will die, but it doesn't. So they just essentially just carry those two back all the way to Patchland, which I think it might actually hint the sequel or something like that, although the sequel never happens, but oh well. Now for the ending.
With Yin-Yarn's spell broken, Dreamland returned to its normal state of peace and quiet. Well, I guess this is goodbye, Fluff said. It made Kirby sad to see his new friend leave. Buck up, Kirby. As long as you have this magic sock, you can visit me anytime. Until then, Fluff said as he returned to Patchland. And that's the story of how Kirby and Prince Fluff defeated Yin-Yarn the Sorcerer and restored peace to Dreamland.
How lovely with that particular ending, even though it's kind of sad that we're not going to see Prince Fluff for the light of day for this time and go forth. I kind of wish if, you know, young Kirby will become a playable character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I mean, if that's been happening, then that will be awesome as a result. And then the alternate costume will be Prince Fluff. I mean, that would be very cool, but unfortunately though, how the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that it's not my decision. It's all entirely up to Nintendo's decision. So, anyways though, so that's the end of the forms of Kirby's Epic Yarn. I know there's still more to become, like the forms of, like, for instance, that we've still got the final two stages to conquer, and especially noticeable with the forms of the final set of amount of stages with all this minigame challenges to deal with right there. And after we're done with the rest of all that stuff I was going to be said, well, we've almost pretty much done with the actual game itself. I'm pretty sure we're actually on to, I don't know what percentage we're actually in right now, but we'll find out until whenever the credit sequence is done, because I'm sure enough, after this credit sequence is done, basically it will actually just take you back to the title screen, which even then, it's self-explanatory for the most part though, just like in the forms of every single video games, well, at least since, well, ever, obviously. So, yeah, I'm quite surprised. I was really enjoying this so far. And yeah, it says, Paul Vacaum, which I'm presuming this might be something to do with the, well, I don't know about that, but even then I was might as well able to concern about that. But anyways, I have no idea why it's wrote every single text throughout, but either way. So, yeah, I guess there's not much else I can really say about the forms of, well, Kirby's Epic Yarn. Other than that, you know what I said this before about the fact that, originally this was supposed to be exclusive to the new Nintendo 3DS exclusive, but it turns out I was wrong, because apparently though, Nintendo from America did manage to able to change the actual, like, platform. Well, not the different platform of generation of consoles, it might be still on the 3DS, but it turns out it changes that into the official Nintendo 3DS, so it might actually work on every single systems of the 3DS, like the old 3DS, the original 3DS XL, and especially with the original Nintendo 2DS, new Nintendo 3DS and XL, and especially the 2DS XL. So that's pretty much as far as I can say how this will go. And speaking of which, I've heard there's going to be another commercial of the forms of the new Nintendo 3D, new Nintendo 2DS XL. So a bit of a tangent right there again. Basically, what happens is the fact that they're actually going to be releasing a purple color variation thanks to the new Nintendo 2DS XL bundled with the Mario Kart 7 bundled system, which is kind of cool, just like how it does it back in you know, in 2012, they've got the Midnight Purple back in 2012, which is about 6 years ago, actually. So, before I get into more details onto that, however, though, and I think I've already mentioned about this quite enough, turns out, we still got the final cutscene throughout in this particular game, so, yeah, we'll see the last bit of the ending, so, yeah.
The next day, Kirby fell asleep in some shade. He dozed happily with wonderful dreams and held the reminder of a dear friend, even though it smelled a bit.
I do give the narrator some credit, though, that he just said that even though the sock will smell a bit, which I actually did manage to agree, because of how the fact that normally in reality world, normally if you actually wear socks and stuff, sometimes they attempt to get smelly every once in a while, especially if you ever wear that for a very, very, very long time, even for a day. But anyways, we got ourselves not only one, but also we got ourselves the hidden patch, but also we've got ourselves 3 CDs. And also, we've actually accomplished 2 achievements, which are both films and the cast. So, yeah, that pretty much goes out for saying that much. So, here we go, back to the title screen, and yeah, we've actually done 94%, so we've actually got 6% left, actually, when it comes to getting a 100% completion of the game, so, yeah, I'm quite surprised we're getting close. So anyways, though, let's place the baseball bat patch all the way to this particular point right here. And then we should able to unlock the one of the final 2 secret levels of the entire game. So let's just watch that little Waddle Dee just manage to roll up, and well, he managed to able to lose balance for quite a bit. And this way we'll unlock Melon Isle. And everything else in Dreamland is fully restored as it is, even though the portal still exists for the forms of Yin-Yarn, just in case for able to actually have a rematch against with him. But either way. So anyways, let's get to the forms of Melon Isle. As far as this level suggests, it's going to be every single transformations variety level, because you know how the fact that it's been quite a few levels back ever since during the likes of in the past few levels ago, since we saw these transformations since. I think the last time we see this transformation, which is the forms of the actual vehicle, or in this case the motor vehicle transformation, I think we've last time see that it was actually in forms of one of the secret levels in well, you know, Snowland. And we have not seen fire engine transformation for quite a long time, actually, ever since in Temper Temple, which is kind of odd, because even then, I think this only used that transformation specifically on the lava environment stage. Because of that, usually the fire does usually get extinguished by the forms of water, so it makes perfect sense to most people. So because of that, though, then yeah. Alright, so if we're able to actually extinguish that enemy over there, we get ourselves the plum tree, or the plum chair, that's what I meant to say. And now we move on to the next transformation. We have the Dolphin Kirby transformation. In fact, the last time we see that transformation, it was actually forms of, Fossil Reef. And I found this music to be kind of cool to listen to, because it's actually a remix theme of the forms of Ice Cream Island from the forms of, Kirby's Adventure and stuff. So, that's very cool and very recognizable at the same time as well. So, because again, that Dreamland is essentially a lot of referencing world with the forms of the Kirby's past. So, that's very cool altogether, and oh, I thought my game crashed for a moment ago. But I think the reason being for that is because it takes quite a while to load up for some things sometimes. Anyways though, here we go with, of course, we could not even forget the Train Kirby, of course. Oh, it's been a long while, Train Kirby. Ever since in, Cocoa Station, ironically, because even then, I believe, oh yeah, we got ourselves the ice cream. Pretty sure that we haven't seen Train Kirby ever since in the majority of the forms, as far as I've mentioned this before, in Cocoa Station. In fact, this might actually be the third time using the forms of Train Kirby in this game, because, you know, I think this transformation only used in the forms of only 3 levels, so even then that I found in very little stages, which can be the same applies for how it does it back in, if you remember from Super Mario Galaxy 2, of one of those returning power-ups that you can get by the forms of Spring Mushroom, that it only uses about, like, let's just say once throughout the majority of the game, like only one mission or something. So even then though, that makes it a little bit obvious, because compared to the first game of Super Mario Galaxy, the fact of the matter is though, you're going to be using a Spring Mushroom for quite some time, probably due to the actual obstacles and all that stuff, and the introduction to the actual power-up itself. Then, some people usually complain about that power-up because it's not as easy to control sometimes. But honestly, I don't have many issues for that. So anyways, let's go ahead and get those little train trucks as far as I'm aware. And that way we can able to move on to, I think this might actually be the final section of this level. It's just basically just the, you know, the surfboard Kirby. So even then though, I think the last time we actually see this transformation, it was actually forms of Mount Slide. So even then though, that's very obvious. Oh shoot. Oh, I missed a lot of those beats right there. That's kind of stunk. But anyways, I'm really hoping I can get a gold medal on this level though for my first attempt. But if not, then I have to be able to actually redo that level again. So it might be a little bit of a problematic, I feel like. So anyways, let's go ahead and get these remaining beads right here. Just be very careful, and because of that, we can get the third and the final item, the CD based off from Ice Cream Island. So that's very simple and self-explanatory right there. So let's go ahead and see. Please, 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 please. Oh, come on! I was literally so close to get that godforsaken gold medal. I can't believe I got screwed over right here. Oh well. I'm probably not going to show off that level again, because I know you guys might find it self-explanatory right there, but anyway. But, I'm hoping I can able to get that gold medal if I manage to replay that level for a second time, or for a second attempt or two. So here's the final patch of Kirby's Epic Yarn, and now the forms of the Galactian Sword, and that way we should able to unlock the final level, or the final drill level of the forms of Kirby's Epic Yarn, and that will have to be Battleship Halberd. Very recognizable location since Kirby Superstar, but of course I'm not going to get into that just yet though, because I will meet you guys at the forms of the gold medal attempt, I hope. Alright, I'm back again. I've recently managed to able to get myself a lot more beads this time around though, even though you might still see some beads that we've easily obtained through. Okay, so this is what I'm supposed to do. Basically, I can't afford to, like, you know, just jump onto the forms of the actual, like, Bolton Bird and all that stuff. And that way, it'll able to allow me to able to actually just to go ahead and get even more beats if I manage to jump way higher than it should be. Especially with the forms of that wing items I've managed to obtain. So, even though I've managed to done this in a better attempt. So, even though, again, I'm probably not going to show off the level again. And also, as you can see right there, I've managed to able to get myself the last 2 ending wheel pieces. So, even then, that's about it. So, there we go. We've pretty much wrapped things up with Melon Isles. So, even then, now we can able to finally move on to the forms of the true final level in Kirby's Epic Yarn, or in this case, / Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, and that will have to be Battleship Halberd. So, yeah, that's what I can usually say about this. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, the reason why Nintendo decided to make Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn on every single 3DS playable department, all the way, like, 3DS 2011 all the way up to the current generation at the moment, the new Nintendo 2DS XL at the moment. I think the reason why is because I accidentally say about the fact that, as far as I've mentioned about this like countless amount of times in the past, that I've said this before about the fact that I thought this game was going to be coming onto the 3DS, mainly be by the forms of the new Nintendo 3DS exclusive, but it turns out it wasn't, because I noticed by the fact that ever since by the fact with you know, the Nintendo Direct during the likes of, oh shoot. Those UFOs, I'm glad you are back. Well, I hate the fact that you're recently coming back. So anyways though, here's Battleship Halberd. You probably recognize this particular location because it's obviously this is actually based off, you know, Kirby Superstar, and especially notable with Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and yeah, it's very recognizable altogether, except the fact that we can't able to actually explore for these engineering sections, but it turns out it was actually a on-rails shooting stage, so even then though, that is a little bit of an opportunity to able to actually see about the fact that we've got ourselves our starship transformation right now. So anyways though, there's a Galaxia sword, so in fact, this might actually be the last level to able to actually contain 3 of those last treasures that we can able to get. Out of the other 2 items that we can able to get, assuming we're able to actually just go ahead and get something from the shops, because I'm pretty sure we've done buy everything in fabrics from the shops, although the rest will be actually be at the minigame challenges and stuff like that. And the final 2 furnitures is going to be at the shops, but even then I might as well able to do that after this level is done. And also we got ourselves the main cannon number 2. So even then though, that in order to actually deal with this particular section right there, is that I presume you need to able to defeat 2 sections actually, the one at the bottom and the one at the top. So even then though, if you want to able to continue through the level, then chances are you need to able to defeat those 2 parts of the cannon, because if you don't, then you're probably not going to proceed unless if you defeated those 2 cannons pretty much. So yes, very self-explanatory altogether, but even then, the only major difference is between the, you know, in Kirby Superstar and Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I don't think there's any wind currents or anything like that, unlike in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and especially noticeable by the forms of, like, we can't walk into the forms of Battleship Halberd or anything like that, unlike, you know, Kirby Superstar, and especially noticeable with, Super Smash Bros. Brawl in Subspace Emissary mode. But I don't really mind about it too much, because even then though, it makes it more obvious at this point. So anyways, we got a knight helmet, and I believe we might actually get the final treasure in the entire game. So even then though, that we could able to actually just go ahead and get the final CD that we can able to actually hopefully trying to get. So yeah, I'm pretty surprised that we actually like breezing for this so fast and quick. Although, again, we're probably not going to end this Let's Play off up until the beginning of October, simply put, because, you know, after several amount of delays, even for in-between uploads of, you know, Pac-Man Party, and especially notable with Sonic and the Secret Rings, and pretty much any kinds of games in general for this part and onwards. So, yeah, I think it's due for pretty obvious at this point, so anyways though, let's go ahead and just deal with all these cannons right there. In fact, what's important to know is the fact they always have to able to destroy, like, not so much the smaller cannons, but the bigger cannons, because that way it will actually contain some of those treasures inside of them. So even that is important to know. So anyways though, before we end off this level right there, we've got ourselves the final obstacle right there, which is basically, we have ourselves this little core of the actual, like, the Halberd, and just like the forms of Kirby Superstar, we need to destroy its core. But thankfully though, you can able to actually destroy the actual core of the actual Halberd than the likes of how it does it in Kirby Superstar, that you need to use the laser in order to actually reflect the wall and able to actually just manage to count as a hit of the actual core of the machine itself. All else in this game is just basically, it's kind of like the same thing from Milky Way Wishes, now the fact that you need to keep shooting at its core. So that's pretty much it, obviously. So even then, I don't have that enough beats, other than I need to get that lucky shot from this point right there. Please, God forbid, get a gold medal, please. Thank you. As long as I'm at the 2-star section, I'll be fine. Okay, good. So yes, there we go, folks. That's all of the main levels and secret levels in Kirby's Epic Yarn. So yeah, we essentially have accomplished everything. So, but again, the only remainings now is the forms of the minigame challenges right now. So even though they're expecting so, then everything else will be hunky-dory. So anyway, well done. You've completed some tunes, and I've actually recently completed the medals as well. And everything else in Dreamland is fully completely done. So yeah, every single treasure has been gotten, and I don't think you can able to actually get, it's pretty much mandatory if you really want to get the 100% of the medals department. It doesn't really matter though, because even then, if you want to get yourself a high experience, just go for a gold medal, then you will be able to be dealt with for anyway. So here's the final 2 items right there, and we've actually completely done with stuff. So there we go. So, speaking of which, let's see in the fabric shop. In fact, yeah, there's nothing else in the fabric shop because the rest of the fabrics are belongings to the forms of, you know, one of our friends in one of those flats. So, that'll be the main focus at the very end. So, let's see our percentages, completionist update. So, we've got 100% through cost, stuff, or in this case, yeah, just stuff. But we haven't got on 100% everything on fabric just yet though, it's still 77%. But we've got 100% on medals, tunes, and films. So naturally we've only got one more category left until we're 100% through everything in Kirby's Epic Yarn. So yeah, I'm quite surprised about this actually. So speaking of which, we're going to have to end things off at this point right there, folks. So join me next time on Let's Play Kirby's Epic Yarn / Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn for the Nintendo Wii / Nintendo 3DS. Is the fact that we're going to be taking on to the forms of the final few stages of some of the challenges. Like I'll do Hide and Seek and Beatrix Run first. And yes, so see you guys next time. Later, fellas.